respected Managing Trustee of the AVINASHILINGAM institutions, Murthyana, Chancellor Dr. Krishna Kumar, former Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and a lot of dignitaries on the floor, respected Mr. NVN, and dear students. It gives me great pleasure and honor that I am here. And as a family, we thank you for doing this, because I am the third person from our family giving this oration. I think that's a great honor. And in the welcome address, they told that I share the first 4 letters with Amma. I think my brother and myself used to say that we have had a Ovarian lottery to have born to good parents. And I think I should also say that parents also name me the letters, which share the same Amma. And I think we should imbibe all the qualities which really made her very great. And it's we are privileged to deliver this oration, because we need to really think as to what made these women great. I think Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said that every great organization is merely a lengthy shadow of a single man. I think in this case it's a women. If you think that every brick of this institution, you will find they will have that hallmarks of a lady, the madam who has done it. Because even when we were even small children, we used to find, even our own parents used to say that the important thing what you need for success, you need to think of good things very often. But I think if you really take off what Amma did, I think she taught about AVINASHILINGAM College very often. She taught about the specialty of nutrition, and she taught about the ways whereby she could use her skills and knowledge so that she could make a great impact in the country. When your own professors came to invite me, and I was just asking them, okay, tell about Amma, and then one reason why you think she was the thing. She said when the noon meal scheme was introduced in our state, it was AVINASHILINGAM College which made the constituents and which recommended. I think that's a great thing to do. I think that's an important step, because it just didn't provide food for the children, but if you really say it increased the enrollment of children into the school. I think for that, whole Tamil Nadu has to be grateful. Like that, there's a lot of things which they. I think if you really see, as a doctor, as a citizen of Coimbatore, I will say that she epitomized the values of hard work, commitment, and conviction to the cause. I think whatever they believed, I think they really did it very well. So in that way, what they really become is they become the face of the city. I think the face of the city, and then that's what now is really wanted. I think all of us have to imbibe those ideas. They asked me, what would you talk? I think I could talk about nutrition in burns, or what is this. But I thought I chose a little different topic, because all that is what I could talk about nutrition. I think your teachers themselves are telling about you. And it's also, there's recently in a newsletter, it was written in our professional newsletter, it was said, no surgeon in his deathbed will think that he should have done one more operation. I think that's very true. And secondly, it is also said, with the advances in audiovisual aids, it is very possible for us to learn the techniques of operation. It's very easy. And even then, the indications for surgery also you could do that, but then that cannot make you a very good and respected doctor, for which you need mentors. Because what do these mentors do? That they provide the values which make us good. I think that's right. So I thought, what Dr. Rajamal Devadas did for us, what Amma did for this, she provided the values for this organization. I thought I will just see how this is going to help us. So basically, I am a plastic and a microsurgeon, and my job is to do the structural defects in the body. And then suppose you have a child is born like this with a lip, I think with one operation we can make their life better. Or you will find a child was born without a thumb. I think what we could do is that we could make the thumb out of the index finger, and then the child could go back and do all the activities that is quite possible. But what we really do is that we really transform life, but then it is done in a single stage, in one operation. It may take about a few hours, but then we just really transform life. But not all the time it's like this. If you read major accident, I'm going to show you pictures not to frighten you, but it's very important I show it to you, because that's the whole crux of the operation, talk, what I'm going to do. Suppose if I say, sometimes when you see major accidents, you will find To make them all right, to get them back to walk and get them back to life, we have to do multiple stages and multiple procedures, and it takes a long period of rehabilitation. For example, we just had a computer engineer some time back with a very major injury this he got, but then he could be made all right. I think it's the same person who could all right. He was a young boy at that time. And later on he said, "No, thank you for saving my legs because I got a good wife today." I think the same boy. And then they keep sending us photograph. I think they follow up and they keep sending how they grow. But then when I see a major injured patient like this, even today if I see that, apart from talking about all the medical things that we need to do, my last few questions are this. First question I ask is that, are you married? And then if I say they are not married, I just ask another next question is that, can you have a mother who could take care of you? I think this question, I want an yes for an answer for this, because I have found that no matter which company you belong to, no matter how much of money you have, no matter how much of insurance you have, how many clubs or Rotary or this thing you belong to, but unless you have a mother or a wife, I think it's extremely difficult to get these parents across. I think it's absolutely true. I always tell to our guys also, a mother and a wife are great institutions. I think we need to, unless, when you have get into a real crux of a problem, I think these are the people who really take us through. I think that's absolutely certain. So every major injury patient, I always end up with these two questions. So this everyday experience made me realize the contribution women make in the society, because they bring the stability to the family, and in fact now the happy families make into healthy nations. On a personal note also, I always, when I rang up yesterday, he told, I'm going to talk about your family. He said, I would also echo what he has said. Now, I also owe all our success, most of our success to our mother and also to our wife. And in fact, I should say that we owe the success to all the wives of our doctors, people who are all working in our institution, because they allowed them to work. I think that's what is the most important thing. So what is really important in the women, I think that's what, because you've got a lot of young women here, you really need to understand, what exactly is the work-life balance. See, when we started about 25 years ago, I didn't really hear this term. The work-life balance, that term was not at all there. I think only in the past few years we are hearing those type of words. I think I always tell them, this work-life balance, there are two words in it. One is called work, the other is life. First of all, you have to think, what gives you this life. What really gives you this life is the work that you do is what gives you this life. But then we need to really put it in a right balance. I think it's the role of the women, who have to put this in a real balance. Because what it really means is that you have to build trust in the family, and the trust in the relationship. I think that's what is done. I will just give you an early experience that I had. So when we started in 91, I think I was really working very hard. I used to start up at 5 a.m. every morning to operate, and I used to keep on operating till 11 o'clock. I used to keep operating. And then we really got in the medical circles, people got to saying, this guy has got a lot of stamina. In Ramakrishna Hospital, they had a physiotherapy department, and they had an annual day. And they invited me and Mr. Ali Irani. I don't know how many of you remember him. He was the chief physio of the Indian cricket team. The Indian cricket team which won the World Cup, Kapil Dev's cricket team, he just won the World Cup, and he and me were the chief guests for that meeting. And somebody introduced me to him saying this is a doctor who operates a lot, and then he has got a lot of stamina. Then I was telling them, see, what is it you're talking about stamina to him, because he deals with cricketers of India and who have got now very much amount of his physical stamina. And they said what is important was that now if we operate now, the reason for telling that we had just done this way, where to put these fingers, each finger back, it take about 3 hours. So we had to put 5 fingers, means I operated for 17 hours, we had to do that and then get this back. So when he was talking about this, he was telling, Ali Irani immediately told, Dr. Stamina is not merely a physical attribute. I think it's a very, very nice saying he said. It's more a sort of a mental attitude. To be able to do what you need to do, whether you like it or not, I think that's what is stamina. So people know when you want to train, I think if it doesn't want to train also, you have to train. If you train when you want to train, when you don't want to train, you need to train. I think then if you call it a stamina, and then you kept on to saying, doctor, operating for 16 hours is not stamina. If after that when you go home, and if your daughter says, Appa, shall we go for ice cream? Or if your wife says, shall we go for shopping? That's a great idea, let's go. If you are able to say that, then I will say you got stamina. I think that is a remarkable piece of advice which he gave. So I used to, that really puts you in perspective. I think no matter now what you do in the hospital, I think when you go back and I think you just have to really attend this. I think that was one of the early good lessons I had. And a few months back I was a chief guest in a gynecologist conference. I have now great respect for obstetricians. More than gynecologist, I have great respect for obstetricians. It's one of the most difficult fields one can have, I think, giving birth to children. The title Dr. Nirmala Jaishankar told me was, so you need to talk about what is success and how do you achieve success. I think that's what, and then I was narrating the same experience and I was telling him, he was telling me because I was a boy, he was telling me about shopping. I should tell you that if you after delivering few children, after doing a couple of seizures, when you go home, and if your daughter says, Amma, can you help me with this, some mathematics or put a new wrapper for my book, and if you could say I could do that, then it's called stamina. I think same thing, and I think that's what they have to repeat that, but I think it really puts into thing because no matter what we work, I think we really need to have this sort of an attitude, because I think we all can do this, because women are good at multitasking. I think we should be able to do this if there is no stress in the workplace. I think what is really important is that there is no stress in the workplace. And if there is no stress, I think all of us have to work so much so that we have to reduce the stress in the workplace. I think when you go to hospital, we all enjoy it. My secretary tells me, I'm so happy to come to the hospital, sir. I think more than being at home, I'm happy to come to the hospital, so that we love being in the hospital. So if you love being in the hospital, when you go back, you're all very good people. So I think there, it is easy for us to. So if you're happy at home, I think it reflects back in the office. I think if you're happy in the office, maybe now you're able to do much better than this. So the most important thing is that you need to love the job you do. I think that's very, very important. And then we need all to create a great work atmosphere. I think to create a great atmosphere, you shouldn't think, how are they creating it? I think we need to contribute to the atmosphere. I think each one of us, when you work, I think we need to create a great. The most important thing is that you need to really think of positive things and then exactly avoid negative people. If you think you have got a lot of negative people in your department, or they are really trying to pull you down, I think what you need to do is that you have got a great company, you read a lot of books. I think that is very important. I think I love books. I think you need to really keep reading a lot of books, and then that keeps you really, really happy. And then what you have to do. I need to, when talking about books, I also need to, because there are a lot of young girls who are sitting here. That's the reason I am talking this. And when we were young, I think my mother used to read a lot of books. Suppose all of us go to another Madras or Salem, or used to go. I think my mother's place was Salem and my father's place was Trichy. We used to go in a car for functions. But when you try to go somewhere, I think what everyone will do is to pack a lot of, you pack your suitcase, you pack your things and all that. But my mother used to read a lot of books before that. And then throughout the time, from we start from Coimbatore till we reach Salem, or start from Coimbatore till we reach Trichy, she used to keep on telling us about stories. I think what we read in the books. I think it starts a sort of, continuously it gives you a sort of input. I think a lot of things are filled into your hard disk, which you could use at a later stage. And I think that is a very, very notable thing. What you really need to is you need to read a lot of books. And more than that, if you start talking about it, it also gives you an effort to talk. I think which is also very important. Another experience in the US I want to tell you. I worked in one of the most premier institutions for microsurgery, where people really, really worked hard. And there, one of the doctor's lounge, I happened to read a book in a business magazine. There it was said, there was an article which was tracing the career pathway of the top management school, people who studied about 20 years ago. It was tracing the alumni, what are they doing now. And then it was put what they are all doing. It looked as if these guys are running the whole of America. I think it was so, I think all of them were in a good tasting of there. And then writing about that, and then in that one there was a small box which said common denominators in all of them. The first thing was that they said all of them work for 14 to 16 hours a day. All these guys are working so hard. The next line was that all of them married to the same wife for more than 15 years. The next step was that. So what it really tells is that the hard work, the number of hours of work, and family happiness is not mutually exclusive. I think that's what all of it, because everybody keeps asking me, all these girls who come and ask me, we need quality time, we need time and all. I think what you need is not, what you don't need time, what you really require is the quality time as well. The next thing is that they had said, most of these women, all they do sacrifices, they all have learned to say no. I think that's very important. I think now what we are all shy to say no. I think we are all shy to say no to bad things. If you find children, there's a lot of peer pressure. I think children, they have a lot of peer pressure. I think at the end of the day, they have to go to cinema, they have to go to this place, they have to loiter and they stand in the corner of the street and keep talking. Everybody must have a bike. But at that time, as children, we have to say, we need to have this thing to say no. I think it's very nice. We also have to feel proud to say no. I think just before coming to this meeting, I had a couple of nurses meet me and they had a small letter to me. They said, the one thing they said is, sir, we should need to have now I think in our nurses college they don't allow cell phones. I didn't know that. She said our principal says we should not have cell phones. I think we need to allow us to have cell phones. I just asked her, do you know why your principal says so? I said, sir, principal is telling we should not have cell phones. Then next question I asked her was, what did your parents like? Do your parents are happy with this decision or the parents are not happy with this? What does your parents say? Then they all told me, sir, parents say that we need not have cell phones. Then he said, why are you asking me? And then I told them, you must be very proud to say no. I think that's very, very important. I think once you say no, I think that's very important. And that you will find, it's not a character of small things. It is there in big things also. I'm very proud to say that I'm very privileged that I'm the honorary consultant of the Indian Armed Forces Medical Services. And we have had the privilege of training the top surgeons of microsurgery for Indian armed surgeons we have trained. And if you're a honorary consultant, when you have ceremonial dinners, you are all seated with the generals. It's very, very nice. I think I love Indian Army. I think they really, really work very, very hard. And I always found that you find when you do it when you go to the dinners, I find that all the top generals didn't drink. It was very surprising to me. They all know at the time when they come in, they all pick up a glass. They keep it in the hand, same thing, and then just place it at the 40 minutes, when it's over, it's gone. I was just talking to one of the top generals, he said, I feel proud to say I don't smoke, I don't drink. And it's not a matter of must that you need to do that. It's not that, because in the Indian Army, you need to really do that. It's not that. I am proud to say I don't drink, I don't smoke. It's not a matter of must that I need to do that. I think that's a very nice saying he said. And Justice Shivraj Patil, who was a former judge of the Supreme Court, is a great mentor to us. He said, when he came to our hospital, he said, parents are the first teachers and teachers are the second parents. I think we need to do this. I think when we do this, I think our children will be able to do this. I think that's very, very important that we do this. So the next thing that we need to do is that we can be very modern in our thoughts, but still remain traditional in habits. I think, all of them, extol the virtues of Amma. And then before coming, they did a prayer. I think really asked me, what does it signify? Whether you believe in it or not believe in it or believe it, that doesn't really matter. That means in a sense there's sort of a discipline. I think that's very important. So you go to Japan or Germany, I think the two countries where we find the top professors in medical college, they are almost considered as gods. The rest of the place, if you go to America, you say hi and all you can say, but whereas in Japan and in Germany, I think these are two places. In Japan, much more severe. I think the top man is really considered. You will find when he comes in, you will find all of them almost half the way down. I think they will all do that. See, if you have to go to the visitors to his room, they always take off their shoes. They don't go into his hall with shoes on. Okay, it doesn't matter, they go like that. Suppose when you go also, they ask you to take off the shoes. Suppose when you and an American go inside, and then it may be amusing to them, but then he will say, the registrar will not let you in. He will say, if you are amused, if the American is amused, he will say, sorry, it's Japanese custom. That's it. Okay, you have to take off your shoes when you meet the big man. Okay, so they are not ashamed about it. I think you need to, we don't have to really feel amused. But then if you really ask, they are extremely modern in the outlook. They are standing in the forefront of the medical science. That doesn't mean, they have to leave this. I think they have to be proud about what we are doing. I'll give another experience, So when I just finished my college and then there was our annual meeting, Dr. Samsi Bose is a very senior plastic surgeon, he's in Madurai. And he is now about more than 90, I think he's 92. About 25 years ago when I finished an annual general meeting, plastic surgery meeting, I was just talking to him. And then he had almost had a couple of beers and then he was having a bottle, this thing in his hand. My wife was passing that way and then I called her and said, I introduced my wife to him. Then immediately he stood up. I think the land was a little bit uneven in the lawn, but then immediately he stood up and said, Vanakamma. He said, then I told him, sir, you don't have to stand up. He said, please sit down, sir. Illappa, my son learned this lesson today. He said, it patted on my back. He said, whenever you are introduced to a lady, whatever be their age, you must stand up. I think that's the very thing he said. I think he just did that. I think he said that. And then I had this repeated experience, 2 days back, one Mr. Satish Kalra. I don't know how many of you heard the project called the Smile Train, which does free surgery to the cleft lip patients. And he was a top, he was in a business world, he was there. After his retirement, he took over this. And then he made it possible for 5 lakh children to be operated, free. It's an amazing thing that he just came to our hospital day for yesterday for some other reason. And then he was talking to me in the seminar room, and one by one doctors came. Whenever the doctors came, he said, hi, how are you, hello, and all that. Then a junior most doctor, one of the junior most doctor, lady doctor Archana, she came, an author, she came inside. And then I found Satish Kalra and I stood up and said, hello, namaste. I said, no, I was just recalled what I had about 25 years ago. And then he said, no, these good values, don't die. I don't think we need to feel shy to say that we practice this, because when we practice this, I think our children will do this. I think the short is that many times you may say that the children don't do what we are doing, but then they always see what we do. I think if you keep doing, I'm sure they will do this. The next thing is that you need to dream big. I think as women, I think you got a great role to play. I think somebody said, no, our mother did this. I think if you see every hospital or every institution, great institution, you see, always they were telling about the experience they had. I just read, I have got the habit of buying a book every time I get into the airport. No matter what, and I just buy a book to read. I think they're all not medical books. I think that makes my life more interesting. Last week I brought this, 30 Women in Power, Their Voices and Stories. I think it's a very nice book. There it was telling about 30 women who are in India, who have done it daily well. And then I was reading about Chanda Kokar. I mean, all of you will know that she is the CEO of the ICICI Bank. And then she has said, when she became the CEO, when she was appointed the CEO, from throughout the world, a lot of congratulatory messages came in. But then she said, the one thing which I loved and which I possessed and which moved me to tears was that from my daughter who was in the US, what she wrote, you have never made us realize you had such a demanding, stressful and a successful career. At home, Amma, you are just our mother. I think that's a fantastic saying, and she said, no, that's what, really, that's the one which she had it. But then you find this becomes a common thing. And they also put up this lady's story. They said, Avanti Davda, I had not heard her before, but then when I read it, she's the CEO of the Tata Starbucks Institute. Tata and Starbucks are now joined together for coffee. And then she has been put as the CEO, and then said that this is the youngest CEO in the whole of the Tata Group. And then when she was telling that, he said, my mother made it clear that irrespective of my role outside home, once I returned, I was just my parents' daughter. I think that's fantastic. He said, even now I may be a CEO at work, but I slip into a different role once I get home. I think that's very important. Not that we need to, I don't mean we need to feel shy to do that. I think the biggest problem is that we don't have to feel shy to do that, because this sort of discipline, I think that's what leads to happy families. I think this is the discipline that leads to happy families. And we can take a lot of examples from stories from Korea, Japan, and all that. Now you can take it. Because you will find that Japan was decimated after the World War, and Korea was decimated after the Korean War. But then they really bang up because of the discipline they had in their families, because this individual disciplines brings into societal disciplines, and this in fact ensures success. This discipline is not in big things. I think what I would appeal to you is the discipline in small things. Like all of us adhering to traffic signals. I think if there is a pathway to fly over to walk upon, I think not walk in the road. I think in small things like that, wearing seat belts. You will not realize just by putting helmets, if we could have helmets, we could prevent at least 2 deaths every day in Coimbatore. I think just by all of us we wear helmets, and your injuries, major injuries to the face and the body will be reduced by 60% if all of us wear seat belts. I think it just comes up in small disciplines. I think it should come to. Because if you really think of what is India, I think if all of us want to improve India, if you really think what is India, I think India is you and me. And a long time back when Mr. Raghavan, IAS officer, came to our hospital, and then he just gave a small talk to our people, and then he said, if you really say what is India, he said, India is you and me. I think he said, that's what is India. I think if all of us become better, and all of us work to our full potential, that means now we make a big India. When we come to the other part of the thing, the healthy nation as to how we need it, and you will find if we take a women's health, there are two parts in it. One is that health of women. I think that is a big thing, health of women. And the second thing is that how women contribute to the health care of a country. I think that again is a very, very massive, which is not really fully understood. I rang up to our, yesterday evening I rang up to our HR department, I said, how many workers do we have? They said 1,504 workers we have in Ganga Hospital. And then I asked them, of that, for 1,504, 430 are men, and then we have 1,104 women employees. I think more than 2/3. I think 70% of Ganga Hospital are women. And then in all the questions they excel, not that they're just housekeeping and nurses. Suppose you will always think, they're nurses. They're not nurses. There are, they're extremely good in our department, plastic and microsurgery, anesthesia, critical care, radiology, physiotherapy. I think in every specialty you take, you will find there are top people in our hospital. So if you take the present day demographics, you will find in the medical colleges, you will find most of the medical colleges, the number of people, women and boys getting in is about 60-40. I think always women are nowadays higher. So naturally when they are more in number, I think in 10 years time you will find in every specialty, I think even cardiac surgery, neurosurgery, I think you will find women in the workforce. Because I find the education is a great equalizer. I think that's a very, very important thing. I think the nurses and the opportunities the healthcare society brings, I think that's the main thing. Suppose you may work in a different hospital, in a different fields. I think they are in a different field. If you work in a shop floor, they can work. If they can go work in an industry, they can work. But then if they work in industry, even work in industry, probably they have an opportunity to meet only those people. Whereas what happens in medicine, the work output depends upon not on one person. I think as a doctor, my output depends upon the nurse. And the interaction that occurs in the vertical level, I think is much higher in medicine. With the lowest person who packs instruments to the lady who assists me in the operation theatre or the person who works in the physiotherapy. I think the interaction that happens, the vertical interaction that happens in the medical side is very, very high. I find this exposure that is what has given to this women, I think is really emancipated a lot of families. But what I really find in our people is that they need to have a feeling that is self-worth. I think we are good. I think that's what is Amen. Sometime back we had one of our around Sulu Defense Service Air Force officer come to our hospital and then give us a talk, and he was telling us if a fighter pilot, particularly in the north, they need to have sorties, taking place at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, 5:30. If the fighter pilot has to take off at 5:30, it seems at 3 o'clock the engineer has to come and certify the whole plane. I think they look at the plane, everything. Suppose he has to come and do it at 3 o'clock, that means he has to be out of his house at 2:30. Then he should have taken his bath, and he says the whole thing starts with the person putting up hot water at 2 o'clock. He said what we are really keen for the fighter pilot to fly at 5:30. I think what we are really keen is that we are very keen that this guy has started putting the hot water at 2. And he said everybody is important. I think for this flight, this fellow to catch our borders or to defend our borders, the most important fellow is the fellow who puts the hot water at 2 o'clock. I think all of us have to feel like that. And there's always the famous Kennedy story is there. When Kennedy was a person, he said we had to put a man on the moon. And when he visited NASA, and he found that the spirit was so high, when he asked the janitor, he asked him, what do you do? He's a housekeeping first. And he asked us, what do you do? Mr. President, I'm trying to put a man on the moon, and then just cleaning the place where they're trying to do that, he said. So that means, they identify not only the work that they do, they identify the work that they do with the cost that they have. I think what we really, all of you need to have is that you need to identify the work that you do and the cost that you do. I think that becomes... I took our own nursing college students. I find how this has transformed people. You find the 50 BSc nursing college students we have, 25 are from the rural area, and they are the first time graduates in the family. And then of the 25, 18 are from the rural areas. They said never gone to a college. So this immediately transforms the people. I think this immediately transforms the people. I think education. And for this, colleges like Oration colleges will greatly be appreciated. I think they tremendously appreciated. They said you've got 6,000 students in our national college, and 6,000 of them are women. I think this is what going to take our country forward. Recently, the British Society, they asked, the Lancet is one of the biggest, the most respected medical journals. They had a commission on women's health, And they said, there are two ways when they studied in India and the countries like India, and they said there are two, women contribute to healthcare in two ways, to both paid work and unpaid care in the home. What they said was, somebody working as a nurse and somebody working as a physiotherapist, that's a paid work. But then they really found what really happens is that women take care of the elders at home. I think that's what he said in the unpaid work. He said that is the one which really drives nations like that. I think we need to really we feel very happy. And they said this, we really put a price for what the women do in our country. The total will be about almost $3 trillion, not $1 million. This $3 trillion will be the amount what the women do. So what we need to do is that we need to really feel proud that what we are doing, and we also feel that we have to recognize this. So this has been in the scientific circles, it has been recognized now. And recently Melinda Gates, wife of Bill Gates, I think they found as to what they are going to do, and they said they have taken this report and they have found this is very useful, and they said that everywhere wherever they are making future grants, I think what they have done is that wherever the grants and the strategies, they are going to ensure that they are going to contribute to the empowerment of women. I think only then they find all the grants become exceedingly useful. And then we have found this also true. I think we are in the burns, we are a lot of things we do. We are also in our national committee on burns. And if you really find what really reduced the rate of burns, it's just that in the rural areas, avoidance of floor cooking reduced it. So because if it is on the floor, our saris and all, they usually caught fire. Just by doing that, you just make it, cook it in a higher level. I think it drastically reduced the amount of burns. I think this doesn't require science. I think what it really requires is that you need to percolate this knowledge to the women. The second thing they found was that the first aid for burns, a lot of people with blanket and all this, the first aid for burns is to pour water. I think that's what will make it quickly get down. I think this again, this went up only when putting it to the women. And the third thing they found was that the polio evacuation or the amount of vaccinations that are put in the whole country, I think again, is only when they empower women, it really produced. And though the United Nations said in gender inequality, I think India is one of the unfavorable countries. But then what we really have to change is, I think it's really changing. I think once we change it, I think it's going to be good. They found that there are 4 areas where we really need to improve. And the 4 areas is that maternal mortality, breast cancer, HIV/AIDS, and domestic violence. The last one I really never thought is going to be very high. Until unless one of the organizations in Chennai contacted me. They got an organization called with lawyers and all they got prevention of crime and violence against women, and they are involved in supporting women care. I think what we really had a project called as a Hope After Fire, with which I'm very, very passionate about what we are able to do with that. And then they asked our help to take care of the women who have been women we found, and we did that. I just want to show you in a couple of clips as to what this project achieves, and just to say it's all possible. And this project has grown so much, that means we've been able to do a project worth about 2 crores of rupees. I think the free surgery to worth 2 crores of rupees and still growing. And then what really project achieved, this is the actor Surya, I think when he came to visit. I think you see this girl who has been in 10th standard who had this. That's a picture. I think after stages she became like this. And then not only that, she joined the college, and then here is getting an award as being a topper in the college. I think this is an achievement I think she made. I think there's a whole transformation that is possible. I think that's because of the women. I'll give another example. I think there's a lady who was not able to walk for 2 years. I think imagine both knees stuck, and they're not living in a forest. They're just only 2 hours away in Kuno. But then between the first picture and the second picture, I think a lot of about 4 to 5 months of effort goes. We find that after 2.5 months they reach this stage. I think 2.5 months they reach this stage. And for about 2 weeks, step by step, we keep them going. Step by step, we keep them going. It's not easy, but then step by step they are going. Then after that, she comes up to a stage where she is walking a bit easily, and now we require only one person to help her to walk. And after that, she walks alone. She walks, and then she walks. And the next stage, she walks herself. The whole thing would have cost about. But then now it's possible to do this under Rotary project. Okay, this is possible to do. But then I found when you do this, it's amazing to see what patients they achieve. this one lady, what we did this, and then what now she did was she became so powerful, and then she said, no, I will be gainfully employed. I think she had put up a shop in her own name. She was not shy to put her name. She's in a Kavita fashion business. There's a small shop she had, and now the shop has become bigger. And then she said, no, I am giving employment to people. I think this happened because of poverty. Now what she says, I am giving employment to people. I am sure what this can achieve is fun. So what really this shows is that is a grit. I think what we need to take from Amma, I think what we have to take from Amma, I think Rajamal Devadas is that the power of grit that she had in bringing up this institution. I think that's what we have to. I think everywhere we go, I think there are certain institutions stand out. I think this institution stands out. 15 days ago I was in the United States and in Austin. I was talking to one person. He said, I have some relations in Coimbatore. He said, do you know Dr. Rajamal Devadas? He asked me. I think he's a plastician. He asked me, do you know Rajamal Devadas? He said, I know. And I told him it's a strange coincidence. In 10 days time I'm going to give an oration. He said, I'm distantly related to her. We always value her in the whole family. We value her because of what she did in Coimbatore. I think she was there. This just happened about nothing. So what we have needs to have that all of you, children who are there and studying in this college, you need to think is that you need to have that grit, what she did. Then once we have that grit, I'm sure what we have is. So on this day, I think all of us, both in the stage and in the floor, I think we need to rededicate ourselves to the causes, what the Rajamal Devadas stood for. I think it's not enough if we just speak about her. I think we try to emulate the qualities which made her achieve what she did. And we also need to think, she didn't achieve it just like that because it just doesn't happen. If you follow the principle of hard work, dedication, and the last thing, commitment to the cause. I think that's very important because these principles are timeless. I thank you very much for the honor given to me for delivering this oration. Thank you so much.